Hello again, everyone. It's episode 210 of Patriots Beat on the CLNS Media Network. That can be found at www.clnsmedia.com. Follow us on Twitter at CLNS Media and on Facebook at facebook.com/CLNS Media. Well, it is my great pleasure to introduce one of the people who I think knows the inner workings of the Patriots better than anybody else without working for the New England Patriots. What do I mean by that? Miguel Benzan has been spending many years breaking down exactly how the Patriots manage and manipulate their very complex NFL salary cap. And appropriately enough, he is on Twitter at PatsCap. That's PATSCAP. And one of the things you always know about Miguel Benzan is by following him, you know how much cap space the Patriots have because he includes it in his Twitter handle, which as of this recording is $6 million, or $6,203,739. That is the Patriots cap space. My great honor and pleasure to introduce Miguel Benzan. Miguel, how did you get into the art of following the Patriots and following it so closely with regards to their cap space?
Well, I've always been a Patriots fan my entire life. All right. So why I started following the Patriots salary cap is one day I saw in the Globe a number for, I believe it's Ted Johnson. Okay, this is starts in 2000, 2221. Next day I read a different number in the Boston Herald for Ted Johnson. So that can't be right. So I started looking up the rules of figuring out a person's salary cap number, and then I asked my fellow Patriots fans, and this is way back in the day. People in like Usenet news groups and message boards. And I said, if you find out the information about contracts, let me know. I created a little web page out there, and I've been doing this since 2001. Right now, like my web page is patscap.com. So the reason I started doing it is I thought no offense to the Patriots beat writers, right? But I thought I could do a better job. I could see right there that I could do a better job. I thought I could do a better job of following a niche area than they were doing. And you know what I'm saying? And that's why I started doing it. And that's, so now, that's why I've been doing it. I did it because I thought it couldn't be right that one day I read something was a player's number was $5 million, and the next day I read $6 million. That couldn't just be right. And I've always been pretty good in math, and it just cut me right away. I said, well, I could figure this out.
Well, I got to tell you, Miguel, there are other teams who could have your same responsibility as a fan, but you happen to have, I think, the team that manipulates, as I said in the opening, and manages the salary cap more aggressively than any other team in the National Football League. From your perspective, what is it about the way Bill Belichick and Nick Caserio manage the salary cap that has made them so successful in the salary cap era?
They are willing to cut their mistakes early. They take advantage of market inefficiencies. They zig when they're zagging. What I mean by that, Mike, is that when you've seen in recent years, example, that the average salary cap number for the running backs has gone down. Well, who was one of the first teams to stop paying the running backs a lot of money? Except for this year. Okay? This is the first year in a long time the Patriots have a lot of money towards the salary cap. So they would zig and zag. They would have have a lot of defensive tackles instead of having defensive ends, because defensive tackles are a lot cheaper to pay than defensive ends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then they would have three safeties on the field, right? So the third safety is cheaper typically than the fourth or fifth linebacker. So they would do stuff like, and the Patriots were one of the first teams to go with two quarterbacks in the roster. All right, so you allow yourself to by not paying the third quarterback, you have someone else on the team probably cheaper that can play multiple positions, and they value versatility. Like Bill's always saying, the more than you could do, the better you can help the team. That those things, they get that player to do many things, all right? But so they pay that player. That they value the team for what the player can do for them. For them. Some players, we've seen players leave the Patriots and not do so well. All right, some players have done, Darius Butler, Adam, blah blah blah. But for the most part, if a player leaves the Patriots, they're not going to do as well here in the NFL as they are in the Patriots.
So I'm going to ask you something that you tweeted out on Tuesday morning, and that was a note about the injured reserve and how that works and why it's relevant to the Patriots for players like Julian Edelman versus a Shea McClellan when you can designate a player to return and when they can't. Now, obviously, I bring it up for this argument's sake because we all know Julian Edelman is gone for the year, and I'm not trying to make it sound like Julian Edelman would at all have a chance of coming back this year. He's not. But there is a difference between when you put a player on injured reserve and when that player can return to designated as returning to the NFL.
Yeah. So basically, all right, for whatever reason, and people ask me this on Twitter, like, why do they do this, right? So they used to have 2 cut downs. Now it's just 1. So in order to be eligible to come back from being IR, you have to be on a 53-man roster as of September 2nd, which was Saturday. That was the day all teams had to get down to 53. Edelman, to get down to 53, the Patriots put Edelman on IR. They left McClellan on the 53-man roster, right, and then they put him on IR, and then re-signed Bolden. You know what I'm saying? So that's the rule. If you're on a 53-man roster, you can be placed on. You can come back and then place on IR later. And the question that people ask me is like, how many weeks will McClellan have to be out? He'll have to be out at least 8 weeks.
Now, did they increase it, Miguel? Did they increase the number of players this year from 1 to 2 in terms of players that you can designate as returning?
Yes, but none of the players yet. So right now, the only player that got placed on IR after the first cut down was McClellan. So he's the only person eligible. So any player who goes on IR afterwards, they have to wait. That's 2 more players, and then you don't even have to tell. Like the Patriots didn't have to designate McClellan now. So if they decide, well, Gronk or Brady gets hurt, blah blah blah, we can get those guys to come back. Well, because they don't use the designation on those 2 players. So, but once McClellan practices, the Patriots may need to make a decision. Then the first practice he attends, the Patriots have to say to the NFL, yeah, he's going to be the player we designate to return.
All right, I'm going to get into the mechanics of the Patriots roster right now as it relates to the salaries and their cap hits. Tom Brady is at the top of the list. I think we all know that. But his cap hit is not what his dead cap would be. His cap hit is approximately exactly a half. It's $14 million. That's his cap hit. But if they were to trade him or release him, obviously you're not going to do that. It would be double that, or $28 million.
Yeah, so with Brady, right, he's got, this year, he's unbelievable. He's got a $1 million salary, and the rest of his $13 million is bonus proration, right? Right. Now this after June 1st, if they were to, let's just say, decide to trade him, right, they would, the $13 million signing bonus would remain on the cap this year, and then they would take a $14 million hit next year. Okay, the reason I put on my page it says $1,028 million because his salary got fully guaranteed earlier this year. So if they were to cut him, right, they would still have to pay him his money. Like some McCourty, Gilmore, some of these players, their salaries are guaranteed. So even if they get cut, they're at least getting paid their salary.
So I don't think a lot of fans would guess who is number 2. Maybe they would. Maybe the intelligent fan, the futuristic thinking fan of the Patriots would understand the logic behind the second highest paid cap hit on the Patriots. It's Nate Solder at about $11.1 million. I'm talking cap hit. I'm not and percentage of the cap, which Solder is about 7 Brady is 8.79%. It's not Rob Gronkowski, who is only 4.24% of the cap. That number surprises me. And Julian Edelman's even less. He's, I believe, 4.7% of the Patriots' cap percentage. Do those numbers surprise you?
Sold or no, because I consider him one of the top left tackles in the league, and he's in his last year of the deal. Usually, we're talking about how Patriots structure their deals, especially long-term deals, low cap hit first year, and then increase up to the last year. He's going to lose in his last year of his deal, so he's going to have a high cap number. Gronk, he's got an interesting cap number because of the way of his 2012 extension. It's low now, but it's going to increase to $11 million next year. So, and Edelman's just got that deal, got his bonus, blah, blah, blah. So it's interesting in that sense, but he is still, for a guy who's in what I consider one of the best slot receivers in the league, if you want to even take out the adjective slot, you can say he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's still getting, I consider, underpaid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yes, Nate Solder. I don't think if I was to ask, next time when I go to the game, if I was to ask Patriots fans who's the number two, I would bet most of the people would say either Gilmore or Gronk.
Right, and that's
I
what
wouldn't think it'd be left. It would be Solder.
I don't think it would, just because I think people assume that Nate Solder's contract, when it was done, would be less than the newer contracts. We understand Rob Gronkowski had his contract reworked last summer, correct? In the off season.
But he didn't change his cap number at all. All it did was give him incentives, and because the incentives would be considered not likely to be earned, it didn't change his cap.
I'm going to ask you next, Miguel, about a contract that was done for Dante Hightower. I think people understand that he has a new contract. What did you think of the particulars of the Dante Hightower contract, and did you think that the Patriots would wind up re-signing him because he would come back to New England?
Okay, I thought he was going to get a bigger contract in the year, right? His deal shocked me by how low it is, right? And I said this to my friends on it. I thought Tennessee should have overpaid for him just for the value of addition by subtraction.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So I met I met Rod Mayo over the spring. He was and I talked about him about Hightower, and he said he's coming back. He's coming back. So I think the teams knew that he was coming back. So, but that's why his deal. I thought he was getting about $12 million a year. He's not going to even get the $12 million a year. He needs to hit all the incentives. And he's got his deal is very incentive laden, very team friendly. He has to play a lot of snaps to make his money. He's got a Pro Bowl bonus in there. It's one of those deals like you asked me earlier, like why the Patriots are so good at the salary cap. Is they get players because they're winning to agree to take less than they could on there. They create you know better than I about the environment in there and the culture in there. So I think players love playing for the Patriots, so they're willing to take less.
So for the record, Dante Hightower, Miguel, 4 years, $35.5 million contract, but it was guaranteed $17 million at signing, and the total guaranteed number is $19 million. That is an incredible bargain for the Patriots.
Oh my God! When I was told, I thought he was going to get 4 years, 40 years. You know what I'm saying? And I thought he was going to get much more in guaranteed money. I was dead wrong. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the hardest thing to judge is what the players are willing to sign for. Like when I do sometimes a project, I just think of what a fair deal was. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
You know what I'm saying? I just think what is a fair deal. If the player thinks less than willing to agree with that, that's up on him. Same thing with like David Andrews. He signed an extension. You know what I'm saying? If I, you know, people say, well, he could have got more money. Yeah, but he's happy with his deal. Saying, you know, saying, and then people, like on the flip side is Malcolm Butler, right? Malcolm Butler has turned down offers from the Patriots. Why? Because he probably thinks he probably rates himself higher than the Patriots do.
Well, let's examine that, Miguel, because Stephon Gilmore signed 5 years, $65 million with the Patriots. Everybody knows he got $31 million at signing. Total guaranteed figure is $40 million. Malcolm Butler is thinks he's getting north of that, correct?
He should get, if he plays this year, he keeps improving this year, he should get north of that. One of the reasons he's going to get north of that is because the cap keeps going up. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to get the cap to go up, let's say 8%. So the cap this year is 167. Next year it's going to be 180. So it's going to be easier for teams to give him the same money as Gilmore, but actually you take up a lesser percentage of the cap than Gilmore.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Butler wants this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's got 1 year left on the deal. But people are talking about saying, "Oh, he's going to be 28 next year." Well, guess who's got the highest paid contract as a cornerback? That's Josh Norman. When did he get his contract? When he turned 28 years old. So to say, he's got 1 year, 20, he's not going to get that kind of money. Well, the guy who's got the richest contract of all cornerbacks of all time got his deal when he's 28 years old.
That
you know
is.
And if Butler thinks, like, I don't know, all that thing, if he thinks I'm as good as or close to Josh Norman, then he should ask, he's probably looking for Josh Norman money.
I think everybody, Miguel, assumes that Malcolm Butler wants to get paid. And,
why wouldn't he?
Well, right. And I say that because he is not going to do, I don't think, what Donta Hightower did. And he is not going to do what other Patriots have done in the past just to return to New England. I just don't see that happening. And I think the Patriots, to your point earlier, they forecast things like that with players better than any team in the National Football League. That's why they weren't willing to go above a certain number,
right.
Whether it's $15 million a year, which is the common report out there, that they weren't really willing to go above $15 million a year and let the market play out, as it were, and let Malcolm Butler play for his next contract this year, because in theory, that should benefit the Patriots. We're going to have more with Miguel Benzan talking about Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the Jacoby Brissett impact, the trade last weekend to the Indianapolis Colts. What kind of impact that'll have on Brady and Garoppolo going forward. But first, we have to take care of some business here. Fantasy football fans, the wait is nearly over. Football is back, which means FanDuel is back. FanDuel means fantasy football for everyday fans. New contests starting every week with no busted seasons. Something for everyone. Lots of contests to choose from, starting at just $1. Just pick a contest, choose your team, and watch your score in real time. Over 2.5 million players have won a cash prize playing fantasy sports on FanDuel. Sign up today. Go to FanDuel.com, click the Join Now button, and use my code PatriotsBeat. Again, use my code PatriotsBeat at FanDuel.com. Try FanDuel for free with no deposit required. Visit FanDuel.com to claim your free contest and play for a share of $10,000. Just sign up using the promo code PatriotsBeat. That's FanDuel.com, promo code PatriotsBeat, void where prohibited. Again, we're talking with Miguel Benzan. He is the master when it comes to Patriots cap and salary cap figures. He is at Pat's Cap on Twitter. He is an absolute must-follow if you're not doing so already. If you're a Patriots fan, or if you're an NFL fan for that matter, the man knows salary cap and CBA, NFL CBA issues better than most on Twitter, and that is high praise indeed, and it's very well deserved, Miguel.
Thank you.
We want to get to what the impact of the Jacoby Brissett deal last week will mean for the future of the Patriots quarterback situation. Now, Tommy Curran of Comcast New England said that don't read too much into it, don't go nuts on the tea leaves, because anything can change overnight with regard to injuries, with regard to the team's success this year, or how they view the quarterback position going forward. That's a very fluid proposition. I want to ask you, given what the projection for franchising Jimmy Garoppolo is next year, which is around $24-25 million, correct me if I'm wrong, and Tom Brady...
It's more like 23 and a half.
23 and a half.
If the cap is going to be $180 million, right, it should be, the franchise tag for a quarterback should be about $23.5 million, because the franchise tag is going to be a percentage of the cap. Like, so the teams already know what the teams already and the NFLPA. I've heard this. I did some DMs about this. I knew we were going to have this conversation. So I DM'd this guy about Brady and Jimmy G.
Right.
And he says that the teams already know what the percentage is going to be. They just haven't, the NFL and NFLPA haven't agreed on it, because sometimes they disagree on a player's cap number, because what gets included in the franchise tag number is kind of quirky rules and stuff like that. So let's just say that. So the guy I asked said it's going to be around $23.5 million if the league cap is $180 million. So if the cap goes up, it was more than $180 million, the franchise tag will go down. It will be less than, and vice versa, right? I don't see how it can get to 24. I mean, I can see maybe gets to 24. I don't see how it can get to 25.
Okay.
All right. And if it gets to 24, the cap is going to probably be around 180, 190, which would be 185, 190, which is just could be ridiculous. I mean, I thought this year there was a lot of cap space, but if it gets to 190, the average team is going to have a ton of cap space. So let's just say the cap is $180 million, because that's in line with the recent increases in the cap.
Got it.
Jimmy G is going to be 23 and a half. Let's just say the franchise tag Jimmy G, he's going to be around 23 and a half. Just to make it simple numbers. Brady's 2018 cap number is 22. The two of them together is about 45 and a half. That's about 25% of the cap. But that's before any adjustments. All right. Patriots have never come close to spending 25% of the cap on a quarterback. And while Brady's been the quarterback, you know what I'm saying? Because usually, and the other thing, I should have said this before about the salary cap, like the Patriots have always redone his deal with 2 years left. So by doing that, he has to give him a discount because he's 2 years away from free agency. He passed on to them, based on the Patriots, his injury risk. You know what I'm saying? So, because like for example, Malcolm Butler. By not taking a deal with the Patriots now, he's taking a chance that he's not getting injured during his year. So when you extend Brady with 2 years left, he has to give you a discount for that.
Right. So in other words, Brady is buying out, for all intents and purposes, insurance against the next 2 years of his contract.
Yeah, that's what he's been doing a long time for the longest time. And then the last couple of deals, he could have pressed for more money, and he didn't. Why? Bob Kraft probably told him, like, really, we'd rather have you keep it at a low percentage. And Brady said, yeah, let's do it. You know, because he wants to be a winner. You know what I'm saying? So, and he probably is not making enough money. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I can afford not to get all the money up front. You know what I'm saying? So
could he do that again next year? Could Brady? Because that is what fans tell me all the time on Twitter when I say there's no way, and you just said it a couple of moments ago, there's no way the Patriots are spending 25% of their cap on two quarterbacks, right? That's just not going to happen.
So let's just tie this all back together. All right?
Please do.
Okay, so Brissett. I want to circle back to Brissett. Before Brissett trade, I said, well, maybe how are they going to get? What's one way of getting the 2018 number down? Is do what you did in the past. Give him a signing bonus in 2017, lower his cap number in 2018 and 2019, and then you can afford to tag Jimmy G in 2018. All right? Now, by trading Brissett, you can't really, you really don't want to do that now because you can't get rid of Jimmy G. If just in case there's another team wants to trade a boatload of picks because their starting quarterback got injured earlier in the 2017 season. All right? So what they could do next year, let's say they wanted to, and Brady tells them, and he plays well, wins a 6 Super Bowl, he plays well, hey, I don't play for another 4 or 5 years. Just do what you always do. We extend the out, lower his cap number, and if you want to tag Jimmy G, then you can. Because his Brady's cap number has gone down. He's not going to be 25%. It might be a little higher than it's been in the past. All right? But you got the GOAT playing for you.
Let me ask you the $64 million question, pun intended. Okay. What percentage of the cap, what is the maximum percentage of the cap that the Patriots will spend on Brady and Garoppolo in 2018 if push comes to shove?
I think 20. I think they can get away with 20. I don't think they can get away with 25. I think they get with 20, and this is what would have to happen to get to 20.
Yep.
All right? They would have to, the grievance with Aaron Hernandez, they have to get that money. Between $3.25 million to credit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That lowers his cap number from $11 million. So whatever, through an extension, trade, cut, whatever. Okay? You got Cooks. You reach a deal with Cooks, lowering his cap number from $8 million. Wow. But the problem is with doing the 20% is that you got Trey Flowers and Shaq Mason in the last year of the rookie deals. See, that's why it's, and so that 20%, and the really, like I'm answering the question now, knowing full well there are some players' incentives and injuries that will affect the cap, how much cap space they'll have next year.
Sure. But
20 is a math. Now the more I think about it, and I'm talking to you, 20 is tight.
That's a lot,
man.
But
as more I'm talking about, I'm gonna go 17 and a half.
It's an exceptional situation, Miguel, and that's why I think. I don't know if Robert Kraft steps in or Jonathan Kraft says we have to keep Brady for the brand, and that very well could be. And there's a lot of thought out there, a lot of supposition that that's exactly the way the Patriots are thinking. They are not about to give that Brady brand to another NFL team.
I'm trying to think. That's tight. So I'm going to go 17. Forget the 20. I'm sorry. I changed my mind. I think 17 and a half. But they can't. See, the players that could really hurt them in terms of incentives is Gronk. If Gronk gets $5.5 million, and you want him to do that $5 million off there does lower their adjusted cap in 2018. So you don't, but like for example, it kind of helps them that McClellan's not going to earn his money. It's going to help them. Edelman's not going to earn his money. But it's going to hurt. Like for example, David Andrews, if he plays every snap like he did this year, last year, his cap number is going to go up by $700,000. That's what his incentive is for playing time. I'm going to go 17 and a half, Mike.
All right.
17 and a half.
All right. I want to end this conversation, Miguel, on a fun, kind of outside the box type of question. I want you to give me the highest you can ever remember your Twitter handle getting up to, the value, and the lowest it's ever gotten down to in the time you've been doing this.
60 at the beginning of 55 beginning this year, and the lowest was wrong. I found out later it was wrong. So I think the lowest it's ever really been
right
was less than I would say less than $1.5 million. One year they ended up with end of the season with near $1.5 million. I don't think that. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, this year was the highest, and several years ago they ended with very little cap space. But I had some. One time I said people they were really close to zero, but then I found out later I was wrong. I found out I misinterpreted a contract wrong. So I misinterpreted a contract. So.
You know what? I think you're allowed, Miguel, because I'm sure a lot of these NFL teams misinterpret contracts once in a while, and I'm sure it's cost them a pretty penny. But
yeah, it's like if you go on to the NFLPA site, they put in that contract in for a mistake, and that's why the league average is off.
Well, Miguel, how can people follow you again, both on social media, on Twitter, and your website? Please give us all the details.
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at PatsCap, PATSCAP. My website is www.patscap.com. I also occasionally post on the PatsFans.message board, and so I don't have an Instagram, I don't have Snapchat. So that's about it on social media.
Well, certainly if people are doing their due diligence on the Patriots salary cap, they are following Miguel Benzan at PatsCap on Twitter. Miguel, thanks so much. Stay with CLNS.
Anytime, Mike.
You bet. Stay with CLNS all day on game day, starting with the CLNS Media New England Patriots pregame show with Alex Barth a half hour before every game. Then you can catch the postgame show with Marvin Ezon and Mike Molyneux live after every single game on clnsmedia.com. Subscribe to both on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube. Also get daily team updates on the Patriots Newsfeed podcast with Tyler Trudeau, which is also available on the CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show feed, available once again on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and of course the CLNS Media mobile app. Thanks again for downloading today's Patriots Beat. We want to once again thank our guest Miguel Benzan from PatsCap and PatsFans.com. You can follow him on Twitter, at PatsCap. You can also give us a follow at Patriots_beat and at CLNS Media. And you can give my own personal account a follow, of course, at Trags, TRAGS. Today's sponsors, of course, the one and only FanDuel. For Patriots content manager Mike Alongi, CLNS Media executive producer Larry H. Russell, the founder of the network, Nick Gelso. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. This is Mike Petralia, and this is the Patriots Beat podcast powered by CLNS Media.
What's going on, Pats Nation? This is Marvin Zahn of the CLNS Media Network, and I'm here to tell you right now to check out the CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show hosted by myself and my co-host, Mr. Mike Nice. And live on CLNS Radio immediately after every single Pats game. Call in at 929-477-2386 toll-free to get your voice heard and contribute to the host breakdown and analysis of the latest Patriots contest. We also got the stars and sorries of the day, Twitter posts for the plays of the game, and everything else that is going on with the 5-time Super Bowl champions. Subscribe to CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show on iTunes and Stitcher, and the best way, download the free CLNS Media Network mobile app for on-demand listening anytime, any place, anywhere.